Welcome to Rising from the Rubble, the podcast where we share real life stories of people who have faced life-changing events like burnout, redundancy, depression, and found a way to rise stronger than before. I'm your host, Maria Newman, and as a coach, I help individuals navigate life's toughest transitions. Whilst listening to this podcast, you'll hear inspiring stories and coaching insights that will empower you to reclaim your confidence, redefine your future, and rise from your own rubble. It's now time to sit back, relax, and enjoy listening to our episode. Not a problem. I can deal with this. It's just a phase. This too will pass. Do you have these thoughts inside your head when life feels overwhelming, life feels too much, or you realise that life is not going in the direction that you want it to? And then, when you have those thoughts, what do? Do you just ignore them because actually those thoughts happen quite regularly? Do you stop just for a moment to think about the thought that is popped into your head? Or are you on autopilot and so what will be, will be? For me, rising from the rubble doesn't mean that it's a disaster and the world is crumbling around you. Rising from the rubble means that the situation you are in now, no matter the size, is not the situation you want to be in. It might be that small things have happened along the way that have led you to where you are right now. Or it might be that this situation where you find yourself in just feels a bit uncomfortable and you'd rather not be here. So in those instances, however life has led you to this point, I would like you to take a moment to see how you can help yourself. And that's just listening to these 5 tips so that in those moments when life might feel overwhelming, too much, uncertain, uncomfortable, awkward, you have a toolkit of things that you can do to allow yourself to deal with the situation that you find yourself in. And they're really simple. And with practice, you can use them over and over again, more efficiently. And you'll just find yourself reaching for them without even thinking about it. So the first one I would like to give you is the pause. It's really simple. It's allowing you the space to step away from the situation, to pause the situation, so that you can see it from different viewpoints rather than being in it and not being able to see the wood from the trees. And you might be thinking, well, sometimes when I'm in it, Maria, there is no way that I can pause. There is no way that I can take myself out of the situation because actually I'm so deep in it that I have no choice. And that might be the case. I'm just asking you in those times to give yourself a break, to breathe, to look at the situation with a fresh pair of eyes. And the only way you can do that is if you pause. And pausing looks different depending on which option you want to go with. So pausing may literally mean pressing the pause button so that you can step away from the situation. Whether that's excusing yourself from the situation or just allowing it to wash over you. And then with that pause, it's giving yourself the opportunity to think, to look at it from different perspectives. Because in that moment where you were in the situation, You could only see what was going on from being in the situation. So by pausing and stepping back, you can see it from different viewpoints. It might be that you choose to see the situation from the viewpoints of other people. If there are other people involved, then you can take the time to see how they may be feeling in the situation. And if that gives you insight into how you can deal with this situation. You can also look at the viewpoint from an observer, someone that has no vested interest in what is going on, someone who just so happens to see the situation playing out without knowing any of the baggage that comes with it. You might want to look at the situation from your future self, someone who has moved past this situation and is wiser and can now advise you on what you might want to do next. So in those times when you find yourself in a situation that you'd rather not be in, I invite you to take a moment to pause so that you can step out of the situation and see it from different perspectives. The second thing that you might want to try is to see if there are any patterns that have started to show themselves. Is there reoccurring patterns that you see? It might be that you get yourself in a similar type of situation, if not the same, and you can see this reoccurring time and time again. And in that case, I encourage you to get curious. How come this pattern has developed? Is there a specific trigger point? And remember, those triggers don't belong to anybody other than yourself. They are your triggers. So this is the second invitation for you to become even more curious about what is going on. Why? What makes this pattern? Why is it that this pattern is reoccurring? And this is a time to be compassionate to yourself, not a moment to beat yourself up when you realize that there is a pattern, because up until now, until you became aware of it, you didn't know it was happening. It was part of your autopilot. So I encourage you, whenever you find yourself in a situation, to notice whether it is part of a pattern that you are replaying over and over again, and get curious. What is it? Why is it? What triggers it? And then delve deeper with compassion and kindness, just to understand yourself better and to give yourself the opportunity to then put into place actions to help you deal with what has come up for you. And that is the key. The key here is always to show yourself kindness and compassion. My third suggestion to you is, how is this not a problem? Yes, I know that seems a bit strange, doesn't it? Because clearly, if you were in a situation that you didn't want to be in, then clearly it is a problem. However, if we ask ourselves this question, how is this not a problem? It gets you to think differently, to stop going through the same motions that you have done before. It sort of tricks your brain into stopping. And then you can start to become more clear on what it is. So ask yourself, what makes this not a problem? And see what comes up. It might actually help you to see the opportunity in the situation, to see how you can stop the same videotape being played and change the course of the conversation, it might actually give you back that control that you thought you'd lost. So I encourage you, when you find yourself in a situation, in a conversation where you feel like this is getting too much, this is creating some anxiety, this isn't making me feel very happy, simply ask yourself, what makes this not a problem? And see what happens. Being in your comfort zone doesn't necessarily mean it's a happy place to be. Sometimes we stay in our comfort zone, even if being comfortable might actually also seem uncomfortable. And that is because we know how it feels. We know how it plays out. It's the risk that if you do something different, then you'll get a different result. And that's unknown because you're not certain as to what would happen if you stepped outside of what you know. So sometimes staying in your comfort zone, feeling the awkwardness of the situation is easier than saying, I need to do something different. So when you find yourself in a situation that you don't want to be in, I want you to simply ask yourself, am I ready to change things? If you say yes, that's great. That means you've probably had enough and you do want to change where you are today. And then again, although the situation you find yourself in may be quite unpleasant, might feel horrible, the answer to the question you come up with might be, no, I'm not ready to change. And in that situation, you definitely need to show yourself some kindness and compassion. Because being ready is neither good nor bad. It just so happens to be how you feel in that moment. And if you're not ready to change, then again, I've already used this word and I'm going to use it again. Get curious. Why? What makes you not ready to change? What is it about the situation that means you'd rather be stuck than turn things around? And again, it's probably to do with not wanting to step into the unknown or not wanting to experience the consequences of what would happen if you do change things, if you change the response by other people. So it could be a big step, and quite rightly, you might not be ready for that big step. And that would encourage me to ask you, what would make you ready to change? What needs to happen so that you have the courage to take the steps that would change the situation that you are in right now? And my final tip for you, having been in this situation where you've taken the opportunity to pause so that you can look at it from different perspectives, gather more information, understand what's going on both externally as well as internally, where you now know that potentially this is a reoccurring pattern, and you now know, by getting curious, you know the triggers. You also know why this is not a problem, and actually you are ready to change because things need to change. You don't want to continue running this pattern. You don't want to continue finding yourself in this same situation. You are ready to rise from the rubble and get onto the path that you know that you should be walking. And in those moments, it's where you need to have a plan. To identify really simply the next step that you need to take that will get you moving in a different direction. And it can be the smallest of steps, not a huge leap, because you know, as I know, that it's small, consistent steps that will get you to where you actually want to go. Like I say to my daughter when she's feeling a little bit overwhelmed, I'm not asking you to run a marathon. I'm not asking you to climb a mountain. I'm just asking you to take one small step. And if you can identify that one small step that is manageable, doable, doesn't feel that scary, then once you've taken that step, you can decide on the next step, which is manageable, doable, not really that scary. And that will then build momentum so that you can keep going to allow yourself to rise from the rubble, move your life into the direction that you would like to go, and change things for the better for you. Remembering all the time to show yourself some compassion and some kindness. And in those moments when it all feels a bit too much, to just pause, reflect, and keep going. Because there are people around you who love you and who want to see you succeed. The thing is, it starts with you. You need to love yourself, respect yourself, and know that you are capable of success. So take that action for yourself. Move in the direction that your future self will thank you for. Let me know how you are rising from the rubble. Thank you for listening to Rising from the Rubble. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Also, remember to download your free life assessment. Just click the link in the description to get started. Take care, and remember, every setback is an opportunity for growth. I'll see you next time.